just around the kids. What is more, it is really important to point out the way stress influences how children interact with the classroom, with the environment, especially in the context of a possible return in March 2022. Because again, if high levels of stress may prevent children from deploying attentional focus, then reducing visual distractions may help the kids focus on sustained attention and thus improve performance on task. Nonetheless, we may not draw conclusions that easily because it may be arguable to suggest that a simulating classroom may be best for children experiencing high levels of stress. I guess further research should be conducted. I would say longitudinal research should be conducted on children and adults. On the other side of the coin, stress may be alleviated by physiological factors, and conducting, for example, breathing exercises may be of great help in the classroom. Research on adults especially suggests that slow breathings can alter stress physiology, thus maximizing heart rate variability, which is definitely associated with lower stress. So you might be wondering why not running breathing exercises in the classroom if we know that this works. However, once again, I may not draw conclusions quite easily because although deep breathing may help learners, research may be further conducted to consider the relationship between learning and breathing plausible or feasible. So in the section that follows, my partner will provide us with some feasible techniques which may help maximize learning in the virtual classroom. Thank you very much for your attention, Ms. Magali, and dear colleagues.
Okay. Good morning, dear colleagues. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Is it okay? Okay. Thank you very much. I am glad to introduce the second part of this presentation, which is entitled Mindfulness in the EFL Classroom, Strategies to Control Stress. First of all, mindfulness can be defined as the ability of paying attention in a particular way, on purpose, in the present moment, and non-judgmentally. From this concept, we can clearly distinguish three key components: self-regulation of attention, self-awareness, and self-compassion. In other words, mindfulness is to be conscious of the place, the moment, and put value on the activity. Teaching English is a social practice in which communication is the start. So it's relevant to promote a safe, warm, and healthy environment that appreciates students' feelings and empower them to use their creativity and intelligence. All in all, in a mindful class, teachers help students build meaning, reflect on their learning, and make use of their learning. Secondly, I will present some strategies based on mindful skills. The first strategy is cloud breathing mediation technique, in which you visualize those feelings and emotions that no longer serve you and let them go in the form of clouds. Let's practice. So, first, look at me, look at my eyes, my nose, my mouth, and think about those emotions, maybe sadness, stress, that you don't want to feel now, and let them go as you exhale, okay? Inhale and visualize. Exhale and let them go. The last one, Thank you very much. The second strategy is active pauses. Virtual classes during the pandemic have reduced the amount of physical activities students used to do during breaks and physical education. Instead, they spend long hours in front of the computer. So you can select a set of stretching exercises to practice regularly during classes or when you feel students need de-stress. For example, shoulder stretch, side turn, and head circles. Let's practice some of them. First, it's important to inhale and exhale. And now put your hands on your shoulder and gently make circles. Breathing is important. Now, lean your head on the right and then on the left as you inhale and exhale. Also move your head to the right and then to the left. Inhaling and exhaling. Thank you very much. And we have the third strategy, that is questioning. Make students conscious of what they are learning by asking them critical questions like, how might this help you? Or questions that involve their metacognition. What are you doing to learn? Or questions that involve their feelings, like, did you learn anything that surprised you? Collaborative work is important to share and also discuss and generate ideas to answer these questions. In a virtual environment, you can use tools like Jamboard, Mentimeter, or Zoom rooms to answer these questions. Finally, about this strategy, I want to present some techniques like the KWL chart. KWL chart. In the first column, you have this question, what I already know, then what I want to know, and finally, what I have learned. The second is the Feast to 5. This is a kind of survey to know how well students are doing during classes. For example, 5 fingers represent I completely understand. 4, I mostly understand. 3, I understand pretty well. 2, I need more practice and examples. 1, I need help. And Feast, I don't understand at all. This is important to reduce noise in your virtual classes. Finally, use a positive language. Use the power of words to celebrate what the students can do with English. For example, what I like about your work is, I am very proud of you because you are getting better every day. You have improved a lot using. This is particularly important when you give feedback for students' oral or written products. Let me finish with this Paulo Freire's word: education is an act of love and thus an act of courage. Thank you very much for your attention, and these are our references.
Thank you very much to our speakers from the British Council. Okay, what we have to highlight here is that stress is a positive thing that we have to use in classroom, okay, and we can modify it using mindfulness techniques. Thank you very much, British Council. Thank you, Mr. Carvajal and Ms. Cesperca. Now, I cordially invite Mrs. Mary Scholl to continue with her presentation of this day.
Good morning, Magali. It's so nice to be with you. Thank you all so much. Let me turn my light on.
Good morning, Mary. Welcome to our roundtable.
Thank you so much. It's so nice to be with you all. And I want to thank the Pedagógico and thank the US Embassy for the opportunity to be with you all today. I see we have 79 people here in the Zoom room, and I think we might have some people on YouTube or Facebook as well, maybe, I'm not sure. And I really want to also thank Robert and Roxana for your beautiful presentations. It's exciting to see that that we're really taking stress into consideration. I think the choice for this theme, for this roundtable today and this work today is very important. We need to really think about the stress that our students are under and the stress that we are under. So I actually, without knowing it, also chose to work with mindfulness. So it was great to be able to listen to you, Roxana. So I quickly changed some slides around and I chose some other mindfulness activities to share with you. Because mindfulness, as Robert was talking about the different kinds of stress and the impact of stress, mindfulness is like, for me, the first response to stress is to learn how to pause, slow down, and be present, to just describe what is. That's the first response to any stress that's going on. So I think that it's really wonderful that that you share that, and I'm hoping that these other activities that I've chosen will be of use as well in terms of managing our emotions. I want to share with you a metaphor that I use when I think about my emotions. A lot of times people think about wanting to control their emotions. And I don't think about control. I think about it as like I'm riding a wave. So if I don't know how to surf, but if I could surf, it would be like surfing on a wave. The emotion is like the wave in the ocean, and it's powerful and it's moving, and it comes to the shore and ends. And so emotions, it's not, so I can't control those waves in the ocean, but I can ride them. If I know how to surf, I could ride them. And so learning to manage my emotions is like learning how to surf that wave of what the emotion is. So mindfulness is one of the first tools for learning to surf my emotions. And I want to practice with you all just a minute. One of our habits that we do in our classes, we call it silence together, space to arrive. So I want to invite you all to join me, and I'm going to give us a bell. Let's get something on my bell. I'm going to ring a bell, and hopefully I have this bell right here with me. Hopefully when you hear the bell, you'll feel a little bit of the vibration in your there we go. You'll feel some of the vibration. And then we're going to have just a minute of silence. And I want you to notice what you do with your silence. Does your brain spin with thoughts? Or are you able to just relax into it? Or is there something else that's happening inside of you? Do you notice that you're a little uncomfortable with something? What do you do with 1 minute of silence? Okay. At the end of the minute, I'm going to ring the bell again. I'm going to ring it 2 times in the beginning, 2 times at the end. And then we'll just sort of see what's this silence together, space to arrive. How does that feel? What do you do? curious, and I don't know if the chat is disabled. Actually, I should check in with that. Is the chat enabled for people, and can you all write? How did that feel? How did it feel to hear the bell? How did it feel to have some silence? And also maybe to see a picture, or to have this time and space together. Let me double check something here. He says relax. I'm not sure if you're able to write. Maybe it's just the hosts. I don't know. But Roxana and Magali, thank you so much. Relaxed, aligned.
Nice.
Nice. Great. One of the things that I do in my classes, Jimena writes peace. One of the things I do is I take in the beginning of class, and sometimes in the middle of classes as well, we take some time to come together and just be quiet. And it's just a minute, but it gives us some space to arrive again, right? And some space to become peaceful. A lot of times as an English teacher, I get in and I want to work. We got to do things. We have a lot of things to cover. Come on, let's go. But sometimes we need to just pause. So one of the techniques that I'm offering you is this 1 minute of silence together, space to arrive. But that's one technique, and I hope you find it useful. I hope you try it. You don't have to have a bell. You could do something else. You could just announce it and get started. But there's something about having a bell that sort of signifies a beginning and an end. So yeah, I'm a fan of bells, but you don't have to have a bell. So Roxana told us about mindfulness, and she gave us a really nice definition by John Kabat-Zinn that I really like. This is another definition that I also really like by a teacher named Meena Srinivasan. And she says, mindfulness is paying attention to your experience in real time with kindness and curiosity. Kindness and curiosity. And so this space, time together, space to arrive, is creating this place where you can pay attention to yourself. Right? So often our students are either trying to figure out what we want them to do, or they've got something they feel like they need to do. And our attention is often not on just being curious or kind to ourselves. And that's a fundamental key in lowering stress. There's a lot of benefits, which Roxana also already talked about, in terms of developing your self-awareness, being able to have better relationships and manage them, having more social awareness of what's around us, and the emotional balance. There have been a lot of studies about the impact of mindfulness. So I hope at the very least, after this session, you're just curious and you go learn more. I would like to share a little video with you that is my mindfulness teacher. It's the sloth. And I just want you to enjoy watching it here for a minute. Let's see if I can do this. Does that come into the screen? Can you see it okay? Can you see the sloth okay?
Yes, we can see it, but we cannot hear the sound.
That's okay. I just wanted to have you watch the sloth for a minute. Oh, it slowed down a little bit. Let's watch it again. This sloth, I have sloths here near me here in Costa Rica. And they move slowly and intentionally, taking their time. And sometimes we need to slow down. And so I like to think about the sloth as, let's see. I like to think about the sloth as sort of one of my reminders of how to be slow and move slowly. So that's one of my reminders. I want to do another activity with you all about thinking. Because part of the reason we get stressed out is that we think and 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 we don't stop thinking and we think and think and think and think and think some more. And part of the reason we get stressed out is we think our thoughts are always true. And they're not, they're just thoughts that are in our head going through. And so I want to offer you 2 quotes to think about thinking. Because we want our students to think, right? We want them to learn English. We want them to think. And we also need to think a little bit about how intentional they are with their thinking. So we have this quote from Eckhart Tolle: the most decisive event in your life is when you discover that you are not your thoughts or emotions, that you can be present as the awareness behind your thoughts and emotions. Just becoming aware that I am not my thoughts gives me power to work with my thoughts. And our students need that. Our teachers need that. Our students need that. So, and what Deepak Chopra says, the goal is to be the observer of your thoughts and not let your thoughts control you. When your thoughts are controlling you, that creates a lot of unnecessary, unhealthy stress. So we need to learn how to observe our thoughts and not let our thoughts control us. And one of the things that we often do, well, here's some things that I'm curious if you've experienced. This would show us that our thoughts are controlling us. Sometimes I can't stop myself from thinking. My brain is just going and going and going. Sometimes I try to be present, but thoughts keep flooding my brain. Sometimes my mind doesn't stop. I jump from one thing to another and I can't seem to focus. I often find myself thinking about the past and replaying conversations over and over again. I think about it, or I'm always worried about the future and thinking about the future and planning for the future and plan A, plan B, plan C. All of these are when our thoughts are actually controlling us. Thinking is good, but if I can't stop myself from thinking, that's stressful. Remembering the past is useful, but if I can't stop myself from focusing on the past, that's not useful. Planning for the future is useful, but if I don't stop planning for the future, I'm always thinking about the future, that's not useful. So these are ways that our thinking is controlling us. I'm going to stop sharing here for just 1 second. And I want to invite you, I'm going to do it again. I'm going to ring the bell. And for 1 minute, I want you to count how many thoughts you have. So every single thought. So by thinking about how many thoughts do I have, that's a thought. What time is lunch? That's a thought. I'm kind of hungry. I wish I had breakfast. That's another thought, right? Just count how many thoughts you have in 1 minute. And I'm just going to be really curious about what you come up with. So I'm going to set my timer here. And let's go. Keep counting. How many thoughts are you having? Count your thoughts. It's okay. Any number's okay. Keep counting. That was 1 minute. How many thoughts did you have in 1 minute? Please write it in the chat. 10. Thanks, Roxanne. Six, 12, 9. The important thing is that you're noticing how many thoughts you have. Right? That's the important thing. And then that begins to give you the ability to be aware of your thinking. And as the more aware I become of my thinking, the more I can ride that wave of my emotions and of my thinking and say, oh, there it is. It's, what am I going to do? How am I going to respond to my thinking? So that is one activity that I think is really useful. I would love to share one more activity, but I'm completely lost on how much time I have. So I'm wondering, Magali, if
You can
could help me with-
continue. You can continue, Mary.
Okay, great. Thanks. So these are the instructions. I'll send my slides to you all. These are the instructions for counting our thoughts. And I'm curious, also just asking you, how was it for you to notice and count your thoughts? And if anybody would like to unmute and share, that would be great. Or if you want to write in the chat, that's great too. How was it for you to just take a minute and notice your thoughts? Any responses? Roxanne, I feel outside your mind. Yeah, beautiful. Like observing. Eileen says, I was surprised. Every exterior sound reminded you of something. Oh, that's beautiful, Eileen. Yeah, we start to notice how much we can notice. Magali feels conscious of your thinking. Yeah, beautiful. Well, thank you so much for that. I want to share one other activity with you, a couple here. She says connected. Thank you. If I'm wanting my students, if I feel like we're really stressed out and we want to bring our stress level down, we can try mindfulness 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So I'd like to try this with you first. So I'd like you to sit. Again, just sort of notice how you're sitting. You might want to wiggle a little bit so you can feel your body again. It's also nice to stretch and move. I want you to sort of notice, first of all, how you're sitting. Are your feet crossed? Are they both on the floor? Can you sit in a way that you feel strong? And then we're going to start with mindfulness 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. For the first thing I want you to do is just start to breathe and notice your breathing. And start to look around you. Look around and can you see 5 things either that you haven't noticed before or you haven't noticed in a long time? I'm in my office filled with things. I'm looking around. Choose 5 things just in your mind. And then come back and just breathe for a minute and remember those 5 things. Next, what are 4 things that you can feel? Can you feel the pressure of your feet on the floor, or can you feel the tips of your fingers? Maybe your hand goes to your face and you can feel a light fuzzy feeling on your face. Sometimes our faces are fuzzy with a little bit of light hair. Or maybe nothing, maybe it's very smooth. Maybe I can feel the metal of my bell. Or I feel my coffee cup. What are 4 things that you can feel? Pick them up, touch them. Feel the hair. Next, what are 3 things you can hear? Notice all the background noises that you've been filtering out from your attention. What can you hear? What are 2 things you can smell? Sometimes I smell my skin, or I can smell my coffee. What do you smell? Oh my God, I heard a bird singing. Smell roses. Oh, how lovely is that? Beautiful. And what's one thing you can taste? Notice what taste is in your mouth right now. Water in a glass. Oh, chocolate. I don't know, Eileen, I'm curious if you're smelling chocolate or tasting chocolate. I hope they're both enjoyable. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What impacted this exercise? The 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 exercise. What impact did it have on you? How are you feeling right now? Take a minute, scan your body, check in with yourself with kindness and curiosity. Check in with yourself. How does it feel? Do you notice any changes, any shifts? Good and relaxed, here and now. All connected, beautiful. Focus, nice. In the present, beautiful. These feelings, connected, focused, in the present, relaxed, these are going to help us when we're feeling too much stress, and our students when they're feeling a stress, to help us bring ourselves back to a slightly or maybe more less stressed state. And this is not something, this is something you can do every day or a few times in every class. You could choose different mindfulness activities, or you could even do the same one. It'd be interesting to see how over time, if they do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 every class, if they change what they notice, or if they get tired of noticing and then they notice their tiredness. But it's a really nice mindfulness activity that also works to reduce stress. Magali, I have more to share if you want, or I can also stop, whatever you guys would like.
If you want, you can have 3 more extra minutes.
3 extra minutes, good, thank you. I have one thing I was hoping to share. And I'm going to do this. This is called an activity just like me. This is a mindfulness and empathy activity. And you know, in time of COVID, when we're stressed out, relationships are hard. So in this activity, I'm going to actually ask you to, you can close your eyes. If you want to read, you can read. But I'd like you to think about somebody that you might have had a conflict with. somebody who's challenging. And I'm going to read some sentences, and I want you to repeat them either out loud because you're muted or in your mind, right? It's called Just Like Me. So take this person that you're thinking of that maybe you've had a little bit of conflict with, or somebody who has annoyed you a little bit. And I want you to put a picture of them, and I want you to imagine that you're sitting next to them. Right? They're sitting next to you. And I want you to think, this person has a body and mind just like me. This person has feelings, emotions, and thoughts just like me. This person has experienced physical and emotional pain and suffering just like me. This person at some time has been sad, disappointed, angry, or hurt, just like me. This person has felt unworthy or inadequate, just like me. This person worries and is frightened sometimes, just like me. This person has longed for friendship, just like me. This person is learning about life, just like me. This person wants to be caring and kind to others, just like me. This person wants to be content with what life has given them, just like me. This person wishes to be free from pain and suffering, just like me. This person wishes to be safe and healthy, just like me. This person wishes to be happy, just like me. This person wishes to be loved, just like me. I wish this person to have the strength, resources, and social support they need to navigate the difficulties in life with ease. And I wish this for myself. I wish this person to be free from pain and suffering. And I wish this for myself. I wish this person to be peaceful and happy. And I wish this for myself. I wish this person to be loved, because this person is a fellow human being, just like me. I see here 96 names, and many all in white with black. I just want to say, I'm a human being just like you, and you're a human being just like me. When we start to recognize our humanity and our students' humanity, and we include that as part of our work in our classrooms, the stress goes down. I encourage all of you to consider that and see what can you do to bring mindfulness and presence and humanity into the classroom. Thank you very much for the opportunity, and thank you for letting me take so much time.
Thank you very much, dear Mary, for this great presentation. Okay. And now I cordially invite all the speakers to activate their cameras, because we are going to start with the questions our participants just wrote on our chat box. Okay, and we remind you to write your questions on the chat, please. We have some questions and Ximena is going to start asking, okay, the first question. Ximena.
Yes. How can we incorporate mindfulness into school programs?
Any of you? Could you please activate your
Sure.
mic? Okay. Okay, Miss Roxana Perca.
Actually, we have some in basic education, in secondary education, we need to practice some active poses. So, esto está en la norma. So one of these strategies could be mindfulness, as breathing techniques, some stretching exercises in class. So maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes when we feel students need, because we can see they are sometimes moving or their eyes are telling something. So there is when we need to stop and practice some exercises. And also when we are introducing them to read or to listen, they need to be calm here and now. So maybe some minutes of breathing. Okay, students, look at me, and now put your arms, raise your arms, or move your shoulders or your head can help to connect the students. And then immediately start with the listening and reading. Thank you very much, Magali.
Thank you, Roxana. Mr. Carvajal.
Thank you very much. I guess it also has to do with a well-being department working in unison with the teachers, especially for the ones who are home teachers, as myself. We have 20 minutes every single day, and I guess it's really important. It's really important for us to know that we don't know how mentally healthy kids attend classes, and sometimes they have maths in the afternoon, and have English, science, maths. So we really have to know these kids. And I guess most of us have really bonded during this pandemic, even more with the kids. So the psychology department, I guess, is doing such a great job alongside with the teachers as well. So yeah, that is what I had to say.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Mary, would you like to add something else?
I think that incorporating mindfulness in our school programs is really important. It's something that's happening a lot in the United States. I'm originally from the United States, although I live in Costa Rica now. I've been here for 20 years. And there's a couple of different things that we can do. One is, on a personal level, teachers can practice mindfulness. In order for us to incorporate it, it can't be it's not a lecture activity. Teachers have to do it themselves, and they have to believe in it. So I can't force you to believe in it. You have to have an experience and try it out and continually use it and see how it benefits you as a teacher, so that you can then start to incorporate it with your students. So the first thing is, for me, it's teachers learning it and teachers exploring whether they like it or not. And if they do, incorporating it. So that's what I could sort of consider like a bottom-up possibility. Top-down, I think our policy, on a policy level, we need to see how our educational policies support our mental well-being, mental and physical well-being. And it could be included actually in a policy that that mindfulness is part of our mental well-being. Our emotional well-being as well. So I sort of think that change has to happen sort of from top down and bottom up. It also could be that in a school, if the administrator believes in it, there are programs that you can do, that you can look into to incorporate it. And there's lots of activities, there's lots of books, there's so much out there now about mindfulness and also about pro-social skills, that I think that even though we're English teachers, I think we have space to include this. And in my classroom, I can include it with habits. After I believe it, there's certain things that you can do, like the space to arrive, silence together, space to arrive. Or every 15 minutes, I have my bell on. Every 15 minutes, take a minute of quiet. See how that works. You know, so there's a lot of habits I can involve, and there's also so it's my own personal practice, the policy, either school or even regional, national policy, and then there's also just what I put into my classroom. That's what I see. Thank you.
Next question. Ximena, could you please help us with that?
Yes, our next question is, how can we transform a school culture through mindfulness?
Feel free, any of you.
By practicing it. It's kind of like, just do it. And, you know, be curious about it. I think we can't force it on people. I can't say to you, be mindful now, go do it. It's not that kind of activity. It's got to be something that people are invited to try it, and to really, it's not something you try once either. It's like building a muscle. Like if I'm lifting weights, I want to get stronger. I need to lift weights starting with something light, and then with lots of repetition, and then I gradually get heavier and you know, can go longer. So mindfulness is the same sort of thing. I think of it as a muscle that I need to start light, practice regularly, and stay open to it being an invitation, to not force it. Because there's some people are going to say, yeah, that's crazy, I'm not going to do that. And the best answer to that is, okay, but I still invite you to try it. You know, I invite you to try it. And I think if we keep this invitational stance, even the biggest resistors will hopefully someday at least try it and see that perhaps it works for them. So those are some ideas. Thank you.
Okay. Rosanna?
Okay, maybe we can include mindfulness as the strategy in a variety of activities school do during the regular when we are in school, when we deal with the students. And in fact, this is not new. Teachers apply these practices like breathing, relaxation, in kindergarten, in secondary school also. I used to practice this kind of relaxation techniques, even I didn't know it was mindfulness. But exploring and reading, I realized that there is other teachers in other countries apply these strategies. That I wanted to add, Magali. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Robert.
Thank you very much. I would like to emphasize how powerful mindfulness is, and all the activities Mary was stating really work in the classroom. I guess the good thing about these strategies is that once learned, if the teachers know, if the teachers feel good, I guess that can be used at any time in the class and at any time out of school. I know it's quite difficult for the school or even for policymakers to incorporate this in the curriculum, even the national curriculum, because that may need a little more research, but we can do it. And I guess if we know that works, I guess we can definitely apply it in the classroom.
Okay, thank you very much, Robert. Ximena?
Yes, we remind everybody to write their questions in the chat box, please.
I have an extra question for you, okay? Which areas of our brain can be affected by stress during this remote teaching? Is it important to take care of our brains? What do you think about that? Okay, Robert, and then Roxana, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the question. I guess some preliminary studies and some empirical studies has suggest that some parts of the brain may or are suggested to get impaired because of the high stress they may be feeling, I have to point out the fact that students' response to stress may be directly related to how they feel rather than how stressful the situation actually is. It's like, that's why students respond to stress very differently. I know that there is some relationship between high levels of stress and impairments in working memory, especially attention. And I have to say that there's a strong correlation between attention and second language acquisition, for example, but that doesn't mean that stress may be counted as part of the variance. So there should be different factors going on. Stress may be one. That's why I guess in the classroom, we should definitely tackle the stress, especially in the context of COVID-19. Definitely, there has been quite some research about the prefrontal area being impaired. Yeah, there is the cerebellum being impaired. We don't know if that really has a correlation with second language acquisition, especially, but some certain executive functions may definitely get impaired. Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you, Robert.
Okay, I just want to add
Yes,
that I, as a teacher, can't work with a student who is sad, who is anxious, or who feels anger. So when I perceive that, I need to stop because he or she is not going to learn. So I need to do something. Like strategies that help them to calm down and to feel better. And then I can work. That's all, Magali. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, and thank you so much for your answers. And I would like to remind the public that we have enabled the chat box so you can write your questions.
I just want to add and echo in what Robert was saying.
Mary.
Just that, stress can actually kill brain cells, chronic stress. And it has a shrinking effect on the prefrontal cortex, which is the area that's responsible for memory and learning. So if we have chronic stress, like there's some stress that can help us learn, but chronic heavy stress is actually going to make it harder to learn. And then it also could increase the size of the amygdala, which is the part of our brain that is responding to it, and makes our brain more receptive to stress and whether we're going to fight it or run from it or hide from it or freeze. So there is a really interesting connection between stress and brain functioning that is really important for us to learn about and take into consideration.
Okay, and we thank you so much for your answers. And we have a question in the chat box. It says, why not Minedu add pro-social skills for teachers on Peru Educa platforms?
Yeah, this is something that we have to discuss later with Mrs. Mesa in her last presentation, okay? And with this, here we have an extra question.
Yes, it says, hello everybody, for Marisol, can you share about this syndrome of the person who takes care of another person?
Sure. So two things. I just want to also respond to the pro-social skills for teachers on Peru Educa platform. And this yesterday and today specifically has made me think, oh, I think that would be so beautiful. And it's exciting to see the interest in it. We've been doing a project. Some of you are here, thank you, who are in the project we're doing on leadership and communities of practice. And we've included pro-social skills in the work because I think leaders need to be very aware of pro-social skills and practice them themselves to be an effective leader. And I think that if we wanted to add it, I would be happy to support you all in that in any way. I keep thinking about how important it is So, and for the people, the syndrome of the person who takes care of another person, I'm guessing you're thinking about this tendency that we have as a teacher, a parent, a caretaker, to want to fix other people's problems or challenges. I'm guessing that, Fernando. If I'm wrong, please let me know. But this idea that my job is to fix, our jobs as caretakers and as caring people, we want to support other people's well-being. And there's a really interesting phenomena that I don't think we grow up recognizing and really learning how to manage. I can't, but it's very clear. If we take it into learning, I always tell my students, the first thing is, I'm so happy you're here. I can't learn for you. I can't do your job. Your job is to learn. I can't do that for you. I can create the conditions. We can co-create the conditions for your learning, but you have to do your own learning. It's the same with our own self-care around our own emotions and our experiences. I can't live your emotional life for you. You have to live that. And somehow we get a little mixed up in thinking that I can force you to feel something or I can fix you so that you no longer feel something. And this, it comes out of a paradigm that involves blame. And so one of the things that we need to move away from is away from this blame. It's great to be responsible for things, but I can't blame you for my emotions. I can't say to you, Roxana, you started talking as I was talking and therefore I couldn't talk. And so I felt bad and that's your fault. Thank you, Roxana, for letting me use you as an example. My feelings in that, it's not Roxana's fault. When I feel something, it's because something inside of me is responding to a situation. And I need to learn to understand that. Maybe she speaks at the same time as me and I'm fine with that. But maybe she speaks at the same time as me and I feel bad because I feel like, oh, I really wanted to speak. And I also felt like I needed to give her the platform. And so I felt bad. But that's not her fault. She's just part of the context. But we need to learn to manage and understand what it takes, what it means to really, I want to say, take responsibility for my own emotional life and stop blaming people for it, so that we can together live situations where we're supporting each other's mutual well-being. So there's a fixing energy that is comes from a blame paradigm. And if we could shift that to a co-responsibility, and as long as I take care of myself enough, then I can show up and I can support you, but not fix you. I can support you. I can contribute to your well-being, but not fix it. So I hope that's, and that's probably a long answer, but that comes from that caretaker syndrome. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. We have an extra question, Ximena.
Yes, we have yes, Miss, thank you. We have another question here on the chat. It says, what neuroeducational strategies could facilitate higher education students to turn on the camera in the Zoom class session? How to reduce the stress caused in teachers that students do not turn on their cameras in class?
Okay, Robert.
Yeah, I'm going first. I guess if our kids, I teach kids like 12, 14, 15-year-old kids. I know it's quite hard for them to turn on the cameras. The first thing I could say is like, we cannot like force them to turn on the cameras because we don't know what's happening in their surroundings. We don't know what's happening in their environment. I'm not sure I understand the question about neuroscience and having the cameras on. I guess it has to do with how much stress the kid is having at the right moment. This reminds me of how for example, emotional neglect in the childhood is also correlated with how emotional or how stressful we can be at larger stages. So I think if I have like a 15-year-old kid who does not want to turn on the camera, I guess I should ask them why in private. I should go to the psychologist and see what's happening there. Maybe there's something going on. It's like if we have like this learning outcomes thing, like in the middle, there's other factors that are, you know, like that contribute to the betterment of education, such as health, ability, even nutrition, motivation, and lots of things, teaching materials, teacher skills. So I would ask the psychologist first. Ms. Magali.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Mary.
Although I don't know, Roxana, did you want to go too? Okay. So for me, before going to the neuro experience, I would start out with a social experience, and I would focus on two things: belonging and meaningfulness. So when we develop a sense of belonging in the classroom, when people feel like they belong, and again, this is a social experience. As a teacher, I need to think about what activities can I do, what ways of being can I do that cultivate this sense of belonging and welcomeness. And then when it's meaningful. So we usually, when it's meaningful, they'll get their cameras on. We've been playing around a lot with this the last year and a half, and it's been very interesting to see that when people feel a sense of like that it's either the conversation, the activity, when it really it's something that connects with their heart and their purpose in life, then they can turn it on more. If I go into the neurological part, I start to think of like, how can I create a game where they have to turn on their cameras as part of the game? And so then that activates other parts of their brain. But in order for us to play that game, we still need to feel like we belong, and we need to feel like it's meaningful. So I would look to the social part first.
Mm-hmm. Mrs. Roxana Perca.
I just want to add that we need to consider the social economical context. In my case, I haven't seen my students for 2 years because while I teach in a kind of remote area, so technology rural area. So technology is a problem. Not everybody has a good equipment or cell phone with a camera or a laptop with a camera. So we need to understand that when we go back to school, change will be different. Things will be different.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Magali.
Okay, but at this point, something that I like to add is that we have to focus on emotional intelligence instead of developing too much academic intelligence, because we are in a different context that is remote teaching, okay? This is something that we have to keep in mind, okay? Ximena, next question, please.
Yes. Sometimes it is kind of challenging talking to parents. How can we approach meetings with parents who are now dealing with many things?
Who wants to give an answer for this? Okay, Robert.
Yeah, I would say it's quite challenging to deal with the parents, especially for whose kids are somehow struggling, not only in English, but in quite different areas. I guess the support of the psychologist, again, is super important. We should have like regular conversations. I know it's hard sometimes because we teach in different contexts. In some contexts, we have like emails, even institutional emails, like we have cell phones that we can communicate with them. I'm thinking about some other teachers who do not have these resources to communicate with the parent. So if the kid is struggling, do we have to prioritize the academic thing, or do we have to like stop and then talk to the parents or talk to someone or even the guardians? We don't know who's in charge of these kids. So talking to them should be of the essence first.
Okay, Roxana.
My connection or my communication with parents is not through meetings because I am not a tutor. So the tutor is in charge of this
Homework teacher, yeah.
But what I do is call them, and first to start the communication, I ask them about their children's health. I start a communication with questions that concern or about their children's health, feelings. So I connect with the parents, and then I start to talk about their academic performance, or if they attend classes or not. So first, I think that to start the communication with good questions, to connect first is important. Thank you, Magali.
Thank you, Roxana.
Okay, thank you. And now we have another question. It says, we teachers have a lot of responsibilities, including our classes. We are supporters, caretakers, and so on. My question is why parents are not mentioned in this great responsibility of their children's mental health.
Okay, Mary.
I don't know.
No, you don't know.
I don't know why parents aren't mentioned. I'm not quite sure exactly what you're referring to, but I love what's behind what you're referring to. And the idea is we're all in this together. How can we create, I would sort of switch the question to how can we create opportunities for parents to also learn about mental health? Because I think that a lot of times parents are busy and running around and doing the best they can with the conditions that they have. And they might not have learned about mental health, emotional health, and they might not have the capacity. They might also, if they do know about it, how can we bring them in so they can share their wisdom? But also, how can we create opportunities for them to learn? And how can we create a sense of team collaboration with parents, as opposed to us blaming parents or parents blaming us? Like, we got to take the blame piece out of our world and just think about how can we work together given the context and the situation that we have and the needs that we have. And the first thing I think we need to do with parents is empathize. We want them to empathize with us, and we need to empathize with them. So to me, it's empathy, 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 and a little more empathy. And then some mindfulness.
Okay. Thank you very much to all my speakers. Sorry, we have an extra. The issue of turning. The trouble is in the public institutions where we have to deal with the topic. Okay, here we have a comment from one of our participants. The issue of turning the camera on is easily solved in private institutions because they put it in a dogmatic way. The trouble is in public institutions where we have to deal with topics like privacy and intimate. This must be in the rules or core or code of living together. Thank you very much, Mr. Carranza. Okay, now we're going to move to the final part of this round table, and all of you have 3 minutes for the final thoughts. Okay, we're going to start with Mrs. Roxana Perca, then Mr. Robert Carvajal, and finally Mary Shaw.
Okay, thank you very much. I would like to add that the strategies we present are part of a teacher practice. They are not new, but important to deal with emotions and promote a good environment. The return to school will be challenged, but we can do it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Roxana. Robert, it's your turn.
Thank you, Ms. Magali. I would like to drop these lines to celebrate all the hard work teachers have been doing during this pandemic. I know that most of us have actually bonded with the students. We got to know them even more. home teachers, but also teachers as well. Mental health is super important. I guess these social factors have to be taken into great consideration. I would like to cite something from Within et al. 2021. They say that too much stress or stress at the wrong time may inhibit learning. So I guess we as teachers have to know when exactly to act or when exactly to provide certain activities in the classroom. We know that there's a great variability in individual differences, especially in the perception of stress. And we are on the verge of going back to school in March 2021. So being aware of these activities we said in the classroom and being aware of the classroom environment can make such a great difference on the students' emotions and well-being. So taking them into great consideration, we can actually meet the kids' needs, and definitely we can maximize their potential to the fullest. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Robert Carvajal. Thank you. Mary?
I would like to just finish up with a poem, if I can. I think that we have so much that we could say and do. But I want to, a lot of it is doing it, but I'd like to offer you a poem, and I'll send you the text in the chat. It's called The Invitation. And I'm going to send it in 2 chat because it's a little bit long for just 1 chat usually. I'm going to send you the text so that, oh wait, that's too long too, hold on. I'm going to send you the text so that in case you prefer reading.
Okay.
It's called The Invitation. It's by a Canadian poet named Araya Mountain Dreamer. And it's one that I try and remember when I go into my classrooms. Send the rest of it in a minute. Actually, let me finish sending it first. Having a hard time copying and pasting. That's my big teaching challenge. Okay. And okay. This is my poem for you as my closing. The Invitation by Araya Mountain Dreamer. It doesn't interest me what you do for a living. I want to know what you ache for, and if you dare to dream of meeting your heart's longing. It doesn't interest me how old you are. I want to know if you will risk looking like a fool for love, for your dreams, for the adventure of being alive. It doesn't interest me what planets are squaring your moon. I want to know if you have touched the center of your sorrow, if you have been opened by life's betrayals or have become shriveled and closed from fear of further pain. I want to know if you can sit with pain, mine or yours. If you can dance with the wildness and let ecstasy fill you to the tips of your fingers and toes without cautioning us to be careful. Be realistic, or to remember of the limitations of being human. It doesn't interest me if the story you're telling me is true. I want to know if you can disappoint another to be true to yourself. If you can bear the accusation of betrayal and not betray your own soul. I want to know if you can see beauty even when it's not pretty every day. And if you can source your life from God's presence. I want to know if you can live with failure, yours and mine, and still stand on the edge of a lake Shout to the silver, the full moon, yes! It doesn't interest me to know where you live or how much money you have. I want to know if you can get up after a night of grief and despair, weary and bruised to the bone, and do what needs to be done for the children. Doesn't interest me who you are, how you came here. I want to know if you will stand in the center of the fire with me and not shrink back. It doesn't interest me where, what, or with whom you've studied. I want to know what sustains you from the inside when all else falls away. And I want to know if you can be alone with yourself and if you truly like the company you keep in the empty moments. I think if we can give this power of seeing beauty, even when it's not pretty, sourcing our life from God's presence, being able to live with pain and be present to that. Those are the skills that we need to be able to do as a teacher, especially in the pandemic, especially when we're working online. And it's a step-by-step process. It's a community process. It's a social process. And I really appreciate being able to be with you all today. So I just want to thank you for that.
Thank you very much to our great speakers this morning, okay? And I wanted to highlight an important issue. It is important to teach kids, okay, self-care skills, because when they are teenagers, they can cope with the challenges they have to face, okay? Thank you very much, Mrs. Roxana Perca, Mr. Robert Carvajal, and Mary Shaw for this great experience we have to share with you this morning, okay? Thank you very much. Now, Ximena, please.
Yes, thank you so much. And I would like to remind our participants to fill out the attendance form that is on the chat. There you will be able to find the link.
And now, I cordially invite Villasar and Eileen to continue with this event. Thank you very much once again. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
We thank Ms. Magali Ruas, Ximena Castro, and each of the specialists of today's panel. Now, before moving to the workshops, we have an important announcement. At the end of the workshops, you have to complete the attendance form that you will find in the chat box.
After completing your attendance, we're going to see us in the plenary at 11:30.
Now, let's meet today's speakers. Okay, just a minute, please, to see the presentation. All right. For room number 1, from Nuevas Técnicas Educativas, NUTESA, Patricia Medina. She joined the team of senior academic consultants at NUTESA over 14 years ago. She is an English teacher for over 36 years, graduated in foreign language teaching from Villarreal University, proven experience in teaching language in the world of ELT and EFL in important schools and universities in Lima. Her areas of expertise are classroom management, effective teaching practices in the content area, and soft skill management in the classroom.
For room number 2, Sandra Masuelos, National Consultant. She is a highly experienced professional in various fields of education. She's an expert in teacher development and has more than 25 years of experience teaching English as a foreign language. As a consultant, Sandra has designed face-to-face and online courses, synchronous and asynchronous, manage projects for prestigious publishing houses, advise specialty theses, and design guides and materials for Minedu. And she was the academic director of the language school of a renowned private university.
And for room number 3, from Macmillan Education Peru, Sofia Gomez. She is the current Academic Services Coordinator for Macmillan Education Colombia, with more than 15 years of experience in the ELT and ICT field. Sofia holds a bachelor's degree in English language teaching from Universidad Industrial de Santander and a master's degree in education and ICT from Universitat Oberta de Catalunya, with major in e-learning. She also holds multiple international certifications, such as TEFL and TESOL, teaching by Global Language Training in London, and ICT competencies by Kuhn and Colnodo.
Now, we are going to move to our respective rooms. How are we going to do this, Eileen?
Well, we will see a chart on our screens. Then we have to click on the room that has the name of the workshop that we have chosen at the moment of registration. And that's all.
Great. To the ones who follow us on YouTube, we ask you to stay online to watch the transmission of one of the workshops. The rest of them will be recorded and published on the platform later. All right, see you there.
Okay. Yes.
It was difficult to enter. I couldn't find the access. Maybe some teachers are having the same problem.
Don't worry. We are here by now. We are here, right? Okay, so let's start again. Thank you. It's me, Patricia Medina, okay, representing NUTESA, Nuevas Técnicas Educativas. Thank you, Pedagógico, for inviting me to this wonderful event. And I hope you really like this session, okay? This session of this morning that I want to share. More than strategies, some important things that we have to remember, especially at these times that we had these 2 years, okay, of learning how to work in this digital era. Okay, so let's start. This is the title, right? Teaching Challenges in the 21st Century, From Chalk to Zoom. This is what was happening to us from last year, right? When we didn't know what to do, it was from just one day to the other that we realized that we have to be in front of a computer working with our students. And how is this? How was this? And we had to learn on our way, because nobody taught us what to do at that moment. We have no books, nothing in our houses. Everything was at school, right? And we need to be updated, to be creative, to be to receive and to accept the challenge. And here we are after 2 years and thinking about returning to our classes, but empowered, which is the way, right? So let's see what I have. What does it mean to teach in the 21st century? Can you tell me? What do you think? What do you think it means to teach in the 21st century? What do you think it is? If you want, you can write in the chat box, or just you can, if you can unmute, okay, you can tell me what you think. What does it mean to teach in the 21st century? Yes. Can you tell me? What does it mean? What does it mean to teach in the 21st century? What does it mean? Do you know? Can you tell me some words, some expressions? Probably, yes, let me read the chat box, right? New challenges, yes, challenging and difficult to teachers and students, okay? More for teachers, right? Because you know that, well, students are digital natives, so they know everything about technology, but it was difficult for us, okay? Nothing will be the same, yes, to be a digital citizen. That's very good, thank you. Thank you for your participation. Yes, sorry, because I was not sharing, okay, the whole screen, but now it is. And I have something for you. Let's see, look at this, okay? This is the task, the homework, what I did on my summer vacation, okay? A traditional homework that we always gave our students when they return from a vacation, right? And look at the answer of the little girl. What? You mean you haven't been following me on Twitter all summer? This is our real word from last year on, right? Yes. We have to be updated with everything they know, because they are updated with this technology. And I have a video for you so we can know exactly how was our lives changing. Let's see, let's watch. Just a minute, okay.
The history of technology in education. Let's begin.
Look at this. What happened from year to year? History starts. Look at it. Things were changing. Continue going on. Look at this, the printing press. Okay, yes, sorry, yes, continue. Public education. The blackboard, that blackboard, and then turned into green board, and then whiteboard. Audiovisual aid. Look, the radio, tape recorder, right? Do you remember tape recorders? Ask your students now if they know something about a tape recorder. They have no answer. A tape recorder, what is that? Information age. Now, The television. VCR. Look. Computer age. Now we are close. Look at those computers. Look at the teacher. Always a teacher there. Yeah, recess time. And the digital age. Look at the year, right? Yes. Everything was changing. And the interactive age. Boards, okay, apps, and look at the difference. Graduating. Smartphones, but look at those smartphones. Document camera, look. And they continue, right?
How are you going to shape the classroom of tomorrow?
Yes. How are we going to shape the classroom of tomorrow? How are we going to shape the classroom of tomorrow? Because technology now is here to stay, okay? And we need, it's a must that we have to be updated to working with this. Here we have the ever-evolving mankind from the Stone Age to digital virtual age. This is our real world now. Right? And remember, students know everything about technology. They are always, and nobody is teaching them. It's because they really want to, right? So we need to be updated with this. Challenges for the millennial learners. Okay, look at this. They must be able to demonstrate a solid foundation of computing skills and experience. Okay, and also, right? If they are going to look for a job, what is happening? Okay, the interviewers are expecting and requiring qualification, certification of digital literacy standards. So imagine now English and technology are the most important guns that our students and everybody is going to have to fight against the world. This validation enables employers to confirm and be assured individuals have core ICT skills to function productively, efficiently, and competently in the world. So it's not just part of what we were talking about. It's fashion. No, not anymore, right? English is a must, and technology, of course. Look at this 21st century learning, what we have here. Learner center, yes, where we can have our students to be responsible for learning. And we are going to be what? Facilitators. We are going to be monitors. We are not going to do everything for our students. We are going to guide them so they can be responsible and they can assume this is their process. Okay, we are only going to monitor, we are only going to give clear instructions, and then we have to see how it is working. Visibly relevant, yes, because we have to cause personal or social change. Remember, our students now are very open-minded, right? So we need to fit this, but guiding them correctly. Interdependent, yes, we need to increase this collaborative work. Remember, we have, it's so sad for me to say, to talk about bullying, right? Yes, at my time, and I'm not so very old, just in case, right? But this was not like the topic of the moment, but now, yes, and it's because they don't want to work in groups. They don't want to cooperate. Okay, sometimes, and this probably is happening to you or what's happening to you, when you tell them to work into groups, they say, okay, we make our groups, right? And they forget about some students because they don't really want to work with them. They forget about this collaborative sense. Media driving, talking about the usage of technological tools, but how to work with them. Remember, right, 2 years ago, it was forbidden to take cell phones to our classes. Now we need them to use cell phones in class because we can use them as a tool, okay, or as tools so they can answer because it's easy for them and they are going to feel kind of motivated and to feel that they are in their environment. And more than this, that the teacher is part of their environment. Imagine if you tell yourself, okay, take out your cell phone, say, what? The teacher is crazy, right? She's asking me to use my cell phone in class? Yes, yes, because everything is changing. Diverse, because we need to use different exercises, different activities, different strategies. I was listening some questions about the problem that all teachers had, okay, because of this virus, because of this pandemic, that when they are in front of the class, in front of the computer, students don't want to turn on their cameras, not even their microphones, right? And we have to be like, are you there? Are you listening to me? Okay, because we are just looking at the names, but nobody knows what is happening at home. And worse than this, parents, their dreams came true. Parents are in our classes, and many times they are answering all the activities that you are proposing, right? So this is what we have to be looking for. How are we going to have our students turning on their cameras? This is going to depend on how you propose the activities, how you motivate your students, how they can know that at any moment you are going to call them for participating. Okay, so this is going to depend on how we plan our sessions. Personalize, this is very important. Remember when we were talking about the 3 Ps, presentation, practice, and production, right? But not anymore, because if your students are able to say yes or no, they are producing. But how about making the language their own? That is the natural process, right? When the students receive from teachers, from the material, the books, whatever you are preparing for your classes, and they analyze and they start using the language from their point of view, right? This is what we have to be looking for. No matter in what part, in what place we are, even virtually or presential, no. Okay, this is what we have to be looking for, to give clear instructions again, so they can receive, so they can analyze and use the language in a natural way. And for this, the activities we are going to propose, or we have to propose, have to be according to our students' environment. Because when they are out of their houses, or when they are in a meeting, not now because we can't, they are going to be talking about what? Important things for them, not for us, right? Important thing for them. So while we have to be polishing their level of communication, so they can be able with simple vocabulary, and remember in English, with English is English, from here to there. The thing is that we need to be recycling, so they are not going to be forced to memorize, but to use the language in a natural way, because we are going to reinforce what? Words that are going to be part of their world. Transfer by design, making it meaningful. Yes, imagine a class where you say, okay, class is over, and they say, what? It's over, miss, are you sure? No, we want to continue. That is because your class was memorable for your students, and not one more class. Okay, data rich, when you give important information for them, again, not for me. I know what I have to do in my class, but what about them? What they are going to receive? okay? And the most important, you have to work on expectancy. I always say this phrase, waiting for a class is like waiting for a bus. But expecting for a class, it's totally different. Where they are anxious, right? Oh, what is going to happen in this class now? The teacher is the same, yes, but the class is different. And every class is different. They don't know what is going to happen in the class. That is the most important thing. Adaptable to all situations and all kinds of students. Remember, sometimes we are not working by levels, right? We work with mixed ability classes. And what are we going to do? For example, with those students that are like zero learners, and the worst, they don't like English. So what are we going to do? That is our challenge. Okay, what are we going to do for these students to be part of my class? And not to say, no, I don't understand anything, so I'm not going to go to that class. No, we have to work with this kind of students, and this is part of our responsibility, right? So we have to, we have to take more time, probably, okay, preparing a class that must cover all the levels. Okay, is when we are at home, right? If you are parents, for example, what is easy to punish, okay, your children when they behave in a bad way? Well, what is taking more time? If you are in front of your children and start talking to them, what happened to you? What did you do this? Okay, now you do this, okay, assume your responsibility. And this is going to happen. I'm taking much more time than probably say, no, okay, no television. You are not going to talk with your friends. Give me your cell phone. And that is worst, right? Because we are not going to have answers. We are not going to have a good response. And the worst, our children and our students are not going to trust on us. And remember, English teachers are different with the respect of all the other areas. But I consider myself, because I love to be an English teacher, to be a teacher, that we are different. We are crazy people. We are crazy people, right? And that's why students are looking for us at all moments. And this is our personal learning backpack. Look at this personal learning backpack that we are changing. This is the thing that we are going to be carrying with all these tools to be updated and to have the answers that our students probably are requiring from us. Okay. Here I have 4 essential rules of 21st century learning. Just 4 of them, right? Instruction should be student-centered. Yes, we were talking about this. We have to be worried about all of our students, each one of them. Okay, learning should have context. Yes, I am a traditional teacher. Yes, because I learn with those traditional methods. Okay, with my grammar charts, changing with the grammar structure, then like 100 sentences, and you have to change the sentences into affirmative, interrogative, negative, short answers, long answers. Not now. Not now. This is not the way. What our students really want, they want to use the language because they are exposed to different tools. Imagine internet, cell phones, they love music. And probably you are going to see this, right? Probably you have one student in your class that is never participating because probably he doesn't or she doesn't like English. But then you can see that the student singing a song in English. You say, what is happening? But he's never participated in my class. And now he or she is singing a song and in English? No way. And it's because he or she is motivated for this song, for this tool. So this is what we have to do, to give context to our teaching. Not only to explain grammar, no, we have to change. Okay, we have to start from the context and then we get to the grammar. For sure, grammar is important, vocabulary is important, but for the vocabulary, for sure, they have the most important friend, which is a dictionary. And more than this, okay, it's not that they are going to be with the dictionary like a Bible by their sides. No, probably they have, or we have to work on guessing. Okay, what do you think is the meaning? But by context. Okay, and probably they are going to learn how to understand. This is the most important. Imagine if we want them to have a fluently communication, a simple conversation, they are going to be stopping. Okay, oh, what is this? What is your name? What is your possessive name? What time is it? Oh, time. What? Okay. No, we need them to give a quick, fast response. But this is if we teach them through context. Even, this is my personal opinion, right? This is my personal opinion. The exams, when we evaluate our students, remember the traditional, okay, evaluations, when we write, complete the sentences using the simple present tense. And what happens? Students start remembering what? Oh, do, does, es, he, she, it. Okay, but are they really acquiring the language? No, because they are remembering what they memorized. Okay, and what happens if we change the instruction? Complete the sentences correctly. What are we going to make our students, to be forced our students to do? To read and understand the context, to analyze what am I going to use to complete this expression. Okay, so learning should have context. Education should be collaborative. Yes, right? Not only my word. I am the teacher and this is my word. No, I can build up everything I want to teach or to transmit to my students with them. Okay, you can start from a question and then, or from a sentence, and then you start building up everything with them. And of course, to reinforce this collaborative sense. This collaborative sense is really important. And for this, schools should be integrated with society. Okay, and we say this, it's because probably there are some important activities in our country and have your students participated. Don't handicap your students before they try. No, okay, challenge them. So this is part of our responsibility too, okay? And for sure, we have to mention and we have to see here our multiple intelligences that we all know about this because we have different kinds of students, right? And we need to focus on this to plan our activities. But Patricia, I have no time for this. Imagine I am sitting in front of the computer from 7 o'clock to 2:30. My class, it's over, but then I have to continue working because I have to look for extra material. Yes, I know. Yes, I know, but we are teachers, right? We are teachers. And if we want to have results, we have to use even extra time to have or to get to our goals, right? And if we really love to be this, if you are really passionate about what you are doing, you have to think about what your reason. And what is your reason? You're a student. So you have, when you plan your class, because all classes must be planned, even the games must be planned, even you have to think if, oh, what happens if I have 5 minutes left? No, you have to plan something extra in the case this happens. And you have to close your eye and start thinking, looking at the faces of your students to say, oh no, Juanito, no music for him. So no music now, not today. Okay, or probably yes. Okay, if I reinforce this part, this activity. So you have to try, because remember, right? In our classes, we must be changing the activities. We cannot be with one activity from the very beginning to the end because our students are going to get bored. And remember, in English, we need to have activity, active classes. Not yes or no. We are not teaching history. We are not teaching mathematics, okay, chemistry, that they have to remember important information, that important names, important dates or formulas. No, okay. What we want them to do is to communicate. So we have to motivate them with this.
What we want to do.
Also, look at this Bloom's taxonomy of educational objectives. Adaptation for the 21st century. Look, remember this pyramid, right? The Bloom taxonomy that we probably, some of us, like my God, not again, right? Because remember our programs when we have to work on our annual plans and we need to use this Bloom's taxonomy, right? But now look, this is adapted for this 21st century, for this reality that we are living up to now, right? The things are not changing, but the content, yes. Because if you can see here, everything is related to technology, okay? What is educational technology? Technology is serves as an instrument by which students and teachers come together to learn about their worlds. It's like transferring information, right? What they have and what we have, we put it together and we have a result. It's not only remember all those times, okay, those old times that we were just planning and teaching them what we consider was good for them, but not now. Okay, probably we must be asking your students at the end of the class, okay, for sure, you know your students. If you ask them, do you like the class? Probably if they are terrible students, they are going to say, no, miss, I don't like your class. Because now this generation, okay, is able to do this. But it's going to depend on us. Everything is going to depend on us. But tell them, okay, what would you like for next class? What other activities would you like to cover in the next class? Next class, we are going to talk about this, okay, because we can tell them in advance what is going to happen next class. So they can be prepared for this. Also, okay, telling them to look for material so we can use in next class. And they are going to be what? Connected and not just finish the class, they turn on the computer, they turn off the computer, and they forget about English until the next week. No, the thing is that we want them to be connected with English. Okay, so come together to learn about both worlds, teachers' worlds and students' world. Need to use technology in education. Okay, this COVID, okay, is quickly demonstrating why online education should be a vital part of teaching and learning. Yes, if we have to say thank you COVID-19, it's because we learn many things. The most important is that we probably in many cases recover this family connection that probably we were not having, okay, because we were working outside. Now we can be together, eating together, talking together, watching television together. And if I have to mention something personally, I had to learn a lot about technology because no other way for working, just with my laptop. But probably I was using my laptop only for my presentations. That was part of my job. But now this is part of my life. This is part of my life. And the effective use of digital learning tools in classrooms can increase student engagement. Yes, help teachers improve their lesson plans and facilitate personalized learning. So as I told you at the beginning, we cannot lose this. If we return to classes, we have to continue working with this. We must continue working with this because now we are involved in technology. So don't feel afraid of this. It was a challenge for us and we could take this challenge. Great teachers using digital technology with certified computing skills will be the most powerful educators in the 21st century. this is true. This is true, right? We are going to be the most powerful educators in the 21st century, working with technology. And of course, we have to remember the 4 C's: communication, critical thinking, creativity, and collaboration. This is the base for our 21st century learning, right? And this is going to happen in all of our sessions. In all of our sessions, when you plan, you must consider, you have to consider these 4 C's to have a sequence of activities. What activity is going to have our students communicating? Okay, I consider this. What about critical thinking? Okay. What happens is from this, I am telling them to give me a solution, to analyze. Creativity, okay, talking about a project about this topic, and collaboration, that they have to work into groups. So can you see, okay, working with these 4 C's, we can have a great result if we consider these 4 C's on planning our sessions. With the challenges in the 21st century teaching, here we have effective communication skills, yes, learning and innovation skills, life and career skills, and infomedia and technology, well, there is some mistakes about writing, skills. And let's see, why effective communication skills? We, teachers, we need to be well-versed in the language in order for them to impart the knowledge effectively. That means we need to be prepared. And remember, one of the qualities of being a good teacher is to be honest. So if you don't know something, tell your students that you are going to look for the answer for the next class. Okay, because sometimes it happens. Sometimes it happens, and sometimes our students, if this is the correct term, they are very cruel because they are always testing us. They are always testing us, right? So we need to be prepared for an effective communication. Learning and innovation skills. We must possess creativity and stimulate or motivate the learners' critical thinking and problem-solving skills. Not only to tell them, we need to guide them. Because if you propose something just in code, they are going to say, no, teacher, no, I don't like that. What am I going to be thinking about that? It's not my problem, probably. Yes, but we need to guide them, to focus them on a topic you would like to discuss. And then you tell them, okay, tell me your opinions first, your personal opinion. What do you think? For example, one of the most important, not important, but famous could be topic is why do you use a cell phone? Why? All the time, and they start giving you, because I like, because I want to play, because I want to communicate, but the whole day. Why don't you have a schedule for using your cell phone? No, miss, because of this, but they are participating. And at the end, after all this debating, probably, because they are going to tell their reasons, right? To tell you their reasons. And at the end, you say, okay, now, what could be the solution for this? Your parents are always complaining, oh my God, my son is always with the cell phone. Even when he is sitting on the table for having lunch, he is with a cell phone. Tell me, do you think is the solution? We are guiding them. We are guiding them, okay, to give their opinions, to prepare their opinions, and then to give a solution. You see, but we are doing what? Using the language, communicating, okay? What else? Infomedia and technology skills, of course, we must be infotective and tech savvy. Look at that boy there in the picture with everything. We have to be prepared with this, because remember that our students are digital natives and they can be with many things around at the same time. Okay, you got crazy and you start calling, for example, if you are at home, you start calling your daughter or your son, and probably he or she is not paying attention. Say, I'm calling you. Yes, and you look at them and he is with the laptop, okay, the TV on, the cell phone with music, and probably the books and probably the notebooks. See, what are you doing studying? But at the same time, With everything, are you studying like this? Yes. And they are doing this. So imagine we need to be prepared with all these tools that they are so familiar with. Okay, in life and career skills, a teacher must possess, of course, flexibility and adaptability. Adaptability and flexibility, right? Synonym of to be patient. Leadership and responsibility. Initiative and self-direction. And productivity and accountability. Okay, so here we have these 4 skills. Now let's get into the characteristics and challenges of 21st century teachers. What can we have here? Of course, here we have our 21st century learner that we already know. And I have something for you. A good teacher can inspire, hope, ignite the imagination, and instill a love of learning. Yes, okay, yes, the world is changing. We have to be updated. That is a different thing than to lose our essence. Okay, what we have here inside, what we have here in our hearts, doesn't have to be with technology, but with our persona, with what our personality. And what we have here is going to make the transmission effective. Because students, if they see that you are really a passionate teacher, for sure the transmission is going to be easier and they are going to believe on you. Okay? Characteristics of 21st century teachers. We have to stay up to date with new information, of course. Every day we need to be being updated with these new things that are appearing here. Keep up to speed with advancements in technology. Yes, and now through internet, you don't need to probably register, okay, at an institute or something like this, because we didn't do this last year. Okay, but on internet, you can have different tools that you can be help you being updated. Making the learning process active. This is for me the most important. You can have all the tools, okay, you can be updated with all the technology. But if you don't motivate your students, if you don't make your class active, nothing is going to happen. Nothing is going to happen. You are not going to get anything, even though you have the most wonderful tools, right? That is going to depend on you. How active or how many activities you want to plan and the response from your students. Monitor the emerging trends in the workplace to facilitate learner acquisition. For sure, it's our job. Have to take in account the needs of your students. The needs of your students. Okay, I know that we have to follow up a program. I know that if we work with books, we have to finish the book, because if not, parents are going to kill us, right? But how? Remember, books, okay, are only tools that are going to give us an order. Yes, because we need to have a starting point. Yes, but who is going to make these tools to work? It's you. You, how you plan the activities that are proposed on those tools, right? And prepare them to meet the challenges of the future. Remember, we are always talking about that our school is our second home, but is that true? We need to prepare them for the challenges of future. Not telling them, oh no, you have to study, because if you don't study, you are not going to be anything. No, give them the tools that they can accept them, but because they are looking at you, how you are working. Remember that we are models for our students, right? So if you see just a plain class, you in front of them, sitting down, say, okay, good morning, dear students. We're going to work with this. Open your books to page. Exactly the same as when we were at schools. Nothing happens, nothing, because the students are going to know your class. Sorry, are going to know all the steps in your, I know, Miss Patricia, yes, I know. The first thing, okay, to open the book and page this, exercise this, and class is over. And what happens? Nothing, right? This involves the use of technology and interdisciplinary approaches in teaching and learning environments. Here I have 2 questions for you. I don't know if you can help me. We are in the 21st century. So what does that mean and look like in our world and for education? This is one question. And the second one is, what characteristics should teachers have? Can you help me with your answers? Probably. I don't know. Let me see if I can read. True. We are role models. Yes, that is true. Okay. Yes. Can you ask those questions? What does that mean to be in the 21st century and look like in our world and for education? What do you think? And what characteristics do you think we must have for this? Can you tell me? Can you help me? Okay. I'm feeling like when my students are not turning on their cameras. Are you there? Okay. Can you tell me? Yes. Should be proactive. Yes, of course. Okay. I don't know if you can unmute. Probably if you don't want to write in the chat box, you can tell me, right? What do you think? What do you think it is?
Good morning, Patricia.
Hello.
Good morning, Patricia. Hi.
Good morning.
Well, what I think is that we as teachers, we must be innovative teachers. Yes. And we must be open-minded teachers. Because our students, as you presented us, they do everything with the help of technology. So we must be updated, as you said, with technology too. Yeah,
yes,
with the tools,
that is
with
true.
technology
Thank
tools.
you.
Yes.
And also I have one other answer that I like, risk takers. Yes, risk takers should be active and dynamic, hardworking, open to new possibilities. Thank you. Thank you so much for that participation, right? And that is true. That is true. And let's see if we are right. Here we have some characteristics: flexible and adaptive, lifelong learner, tech savvy, team leader and collaborator, creative and innovative, mentor and role model. And look, flexible and adaptive. Look at this teacher. Okay, and probably you can see yourself. Why? Because we have moved from the 20th century. So now, okay, we need to be flexible and adaptive enough to be aware of the emerging teaching, learning environments. Yes, we have to close our eyes and to focus that everything has changed. Take full advantage of learner abilities. Of course, if you and this is because you are going to analyze and you are going to personalize your teaching. If you have 13 students, you have the responsibility to know the needs of each one of your students to have a really good class. We are challenged to work closely with learners to understand their needs, the strengths, weaknesses, everything related to that. And of course, we have to be loaded with innovations, loaded and reloaded. The modern teacher must be aware that learners too can acquire and challenge incorrect information from the teacher, right? Lifelong learner, this is another characteristic. We never stop. We never stop. We must stay on top of the knowledge curve with new information and innovations. In order to do what? To produce learners who are explorers of knowledge. Remember, even though they are playing those video games or whatever they are using, they are looking for information. And, okay, for me, I have an anecdote that I want to share with you. Once I was interviewing one student, and he was, the level of English was excellent. We were talking like in the same level, right? At the same level. And I start asking him, okay, where did you learn English? Did you go to the United States probably and study there? No, miss. And where did you study? Because I love playing video games. So can you imagine? That was his tool for acquiring that good level of English. So even though we are looking at them playing, we have to consider that they are learning English, right? And the educator, therefore, is a persistent learner and a greedy one at that of emerging knowledge base and technology trends. And I was so curious, huh? And I told my, not my daughter, but my nephew, okay, what is that about video games? Because I didn't know anything about that for sure. He told me, yes. Can you see this? I said, okay, let me show it to me. And I was looking at, yes, everything was in English, right? And I say, yes, and do you understand? Yes, of course. Okay, and they were connected with different kinds of people. Of course, it's dangerous. If dangerous, we know, and we have to control this, but this is a tool for them to learn English. Tech savvy, yes, of course. We were talking the whole session about this technology. New technology means new ways to affect productivity, communicate, and teach. Technology is designed to explore and store data and improve productivity. And for us, it's the right balance between all learning models and emerging learning realities. Yes, sometimes when I see my old books, I suffer and I probably want to cry and I say, oh, no, not anymore. If I work with these students, no, they are going to kill me. They are going to start thinking that I am crazy. No, and you know, at those times we were just rehearsing, repeating that traditional repeat after me, right? And it stands, one way of promoting technology in the classroom is through blended learning, right? So a tech-savvy teacher must what? Integrate multiple technologies in the classroom. Look at this picture, this digital toolkit. Up to now, we are talking about all kinds of kits, the pedagogical kit, the student kit, the teacher kit, and now we have the digital toolkit. Integrate apps, multimedia, and e-learning tools. Analyze and explore technology. Discover and recognize new learning environment. Promote the use of online, virtual, and bridge learning communities and environment. Team leader and collaborator for sure, okay? Even though technology exists, they need a teacher to monitor and control, okay? So what happens here? Many times ago, we were teaching in isolation. Yes, that was my word. Everybody in silence. And you repeat when I tell you to repeat. Now we need to be out of our shell and to be a team leader, to encourage learner-centered education, to promote smart communication skills, to enable critical thinking and problem solving, to become, look at this, visionary and inspirational. Okay, inspirational, encourage career learning and guidance, promote hands-on knowledge and skills, and integrate the family, community, and leaders to enhance what? Learner experience. Okay, so again, we are in a changing world. Creative and innovative for sure. This is what Ms. Lourdes told us about. Creative teaching can help learners develop original thought and imagination as a big door, okay? This prepares children to think up new ideas, tools, and dimensions relevant to real life. Okay, most of these days are also cemented through interdisciplinary and applied learning, where learners are what? Encouraged to integrating ideas and thought from different areas of the curriculum. Remember the CLIL approach. Now we need to be prepared, not because we need to be a specialist on these different areas, but because of vocabulary. We need to extend the vocabulary if we want our students to communicate. We need to give them these tools, okay, through mathematics, through geography, through history, through literature, so they can manage a different world of words, okay? And remember, besides technology, other challenges such as rising urbanization, overpopulation, changing climate, and the overall unpredictability of life require that the upcoming adults learn to think out of the box. But for this, they need the right educators in and outside the classrooms, okay? Here, what we need, what we have: flipped learning, playful learning, critical thinking in solving problems, creating collaborations, imaginative games, innovative thinking, cooperative learning, design tests, and relevant instructional scaffolding. And this is going to be very helpful for them. Look at this, this picture about flipped learning. Remember, everything has changed. Now you have the possibility to change in advance what you want your students to be reading or watching. If you send them a video to be prepared for next class, it's like a circle, right? You send them the material for next class. They have to analyze, they have to watch, they have to read, they have to prepare their material. They come to the class and they put into practice. Remember, this class or the class must not take the time to start explaining what you send them, right? Because this happens and you don't go on. You are stuck, because if you send them, for example, talking about grammar structure, something about present continuous tense, then they come to the class, okay, with the material you sent them, and you start again. If you say, did you revise, did you check the material I sent you? No, miss. Oh, okay, well, don't worry. We are going to check it here. And you are taking a precious time, okay? The thing is that you send them, and in class, you have to put into practice about all the exercises. And then before they go, they say goodbye, you give them additional extra exercises so they can work at home. And it's like the circle, right? But in class, you take advantage because you are practicing and practicing with them, okay? Mentor and role model. This, I read this, these expressions, right? These expressions also. Today, more than ever, learners find themselves as crossroads in their journey towards adulthood, okay? And look at this. We have to endure this and more if they are to grow into responsible adults. This is our responsibility also. And the teacher of the 21st century is meant to be someone they can lean on. Yes, look at the great responsibility, because remember, the word of a teacher is the law for your students. Is the law. Nobody is going to make them change, especially with children. No, my teacher is telling me this, and no other words, okay? So this is what we should be: sensitive, reflective, appropriately religious and aware of divergent views, a mentor on cyberbullying, okay? Sometimes we cannot control this. And look what is happening in our schools. Appropriately sociable, a champion of physical wellness in the tech era of a sedentary lifestyle, okay? Characteristics of 21st century learners, because we also have to mention this: they like to be in control, always. They are group-oriented and social, yes. They are inclusive, of course. They are practiced users of digital technology. Look at that picture, look at that baby, okay? Headphones, cell phone, laptop at the same time. They are more likely to take risks. Yes, and design solutions. This is part of what we have to know about our students. And here we have challenges about all the things that we were talking about. Native students' characteristics, multitask learners, social and cooperative attitudes toward learning, ability to use technology and its applications, global mind processes for solving problems, and digital skills. And here are some strategies. Blended learning, cross-curriculum teaching, flipped classroom, integrated technology, cooperative learning structures, differentiated instruction. Here I have blended learning, right? These 5 interactions of a robust blended learning model. Student-to-student interaction, student-to-teacher interaction, student-to-community interaction, student-to-material interaction, and student-to-technology interaction. This is what we have to consider. Talking about cross-curriculum teaching, okay, we have to increase the opportunities of technology integration and approach that may involve these strategies. Integrated teaching, inquiry-based learning. Your students have to start from questions, and they are going to ask many questions, and we need to be prepared for answering them and to guiding them to our topic. Project work, of course, they learn by doing. Discovery learning, not giving them everything, let them to discover, okay? And problem-based learning. And of course, here we have, right? From our traditional classroom, what I love so much, to flipped classroom, that I need to be updated, Technology integration, you have to provide enriched learning environment to the tech-savvy learners of today. We know that they know how to work with all these tools, so we have to provide them, okay? Differentiated instruction, important, tailoring the teaching style according to the learning styles of mixed ability learners. By matching, by matching assignments to readiness levels, offering appropriate intervention or extension activities as required. And allowing children to select activities based on areas of interest is another great way to differentiate. Why differentiated instructions? Because we have students who have different needs, who come from different educational backgrounds, who have different attention spans and interests, who have different language abilities, and who have different cultural backgrounds. And of course, we have to consider again our multiple intelligences. Summarizing, we are getting to the end. After all of this, teachers need to develop digital competence, get training, learn and apply digital and technological resources, learn to use searches and resources, become innovative and creative, support each other, cooperate, collaborate.
Me neither.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I was taken to the main session too.
Yes, I am in the main session, but I don't know what happens because I have just
they just stopped the
oh
yeah. I could finish.
And I think we can go back because the rooms are still open.
Yeah, I don't know if we can return because I was just getting to the end.
Let me organize this in a few seconds, please. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
A question, please. Is the same room, right? Room number 1, the ones we were working with, 21st Century School, right?
Yes.
I think now the rooms are available.
I don't know if we can return to.
Mrs. Medina and Mrs. Gomez, You are going to have extra 3 more minutes, please.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We are just getting to the end.
Miguel. Él ha visto, él cuando me supervisó, él ha visto. Time for a reminder. For every child that says, not smart enough, I don't get it, I can't, there is a teacher who says, you can. Always a teacher. For every child who needs basic skills, knowledge, someone to believe in him, there is a teacher who will do whatever it takes, encourage, motivate, challenge, engage, inspire, and instill a love for learning. So for every teacher who works with our children, building a better future for all of us, one child at a time, even when it seems like no one is watching, yes, or that people have forgotten to think about this sometimes. Just how special teachers are. We salute you and we thank you. So repeat after us the traditional phrase, I make, you make a difference. With your outside voice, you have to repeat this every day of your lives, that you make a difference. For reaching a child to become the next great author, artist, scientist, architect, musician, doctor, engineer. Remember, you make a difference. This is what I wanted to give you and to leave you with this question. Are you teachers now accepting the challenges of the new digital era in education? I'm sure you are going to accept, to say, yes, you made the difference. Thank you so much on behalf of NUTESA. Thank you to Pedagógico for inviting me to this wonderful session. And I hope you can share with me what I really wanted to share with you, that you have a good time
sharing this session. That is my mail. Anytime you want to write, just to say hello or to ask me some questions, there I am. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. It was a wonderful session. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Patricia.
Thank you,
Patricia.
Thank you
so memorable. Thank you
you
so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Miss Patricia.
Thank you. Goodbye. Thank you.
So good morning, everyone. Just to remind you that after this workshop, we have to return to the main room or the plenary. Welcome back. Now we have good news for the ones who are in this event. British Council has brought us 5 scholarships for the Regional Conference BBEOT, Best and Brightest of English Language Teaching, on February the 18th and 19th, 2022. The conference title is Connecting Teachers, Empowering Learners. BBEOT conference is one of the main events in English teaching around America. Thank you very much, British Council.
So, right away, we proceed to do the raffle for the 5 scholarships. So we will present our screen. Please just give us a couple of minutes. Okay, just to remind everyone that this event is taking place on February the 18th and 19th, 2022. So are you ready? Okay, as you can see, there are the names of every participant. So at the count of 3, we will see who the winners are. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, we are waiting for the winners. All right, and the first winner is Karin Evelyn Ayona Chavez.
The second winner is Claudia Wiltrago.
The third winner is Angie Lisbeth Rodriguez Lazo.
The fourth winner is Leticia Leslie Guerra.
And the fifth winner, and the last one, Terry Stuart Ventura Martinez.
Congratulations to the winners. Further Studies Unit will send you an email to coordinate your registration.
All right, now we invite Ms. Magali Ruas one more time to express our gratitude to the specialists of this second and last day of the ELT Congress 2021 Lima edition.
Hello again. I really wanted to thank to our participants from all over Peru and from abroad. Ximena, it's your turn.
Thank you, Miss. Yes, we would like to thank teachers from Lima, Lima Metropolitana, Huamanga, Barranca, Cajabamba, Cundinamarca, Cusco, Ica, and Chincha. Thank you for being here.
At the same time, I really want to thank teachers from Puno, Lambayeque, Chiclayo, Huancavelica, Satipo, teachers also from University from different universities such as Universidad Agraria La Molina, Universidad San Cristóbal de Huamanga in Ayacucho, Universidad Nacional de Trujillo, teachers from Ancash, Santa, Huaraz, Yungay, at the same time teachers from Junín region, teachers from Huancayo, Chanchamayo, Tarma, Oxapampa, teachers from Trujillo, teachers from Piura region, Paita, Sechura, teachers from Moquegua region, teachers from Hilo, teachers from Puno, Yunguyo, thank you very much for being here. Teachers from San Martin region, thank you very much for participating in this event. Teachers from Tacna, thank you very much. And a special thank to teachers from abroad, teachers from Chile, teachers from Mexico, thank you very much for being here. Teachers from Colombia, thank you very much. Teachers from Ecuador, thank you very much. Teachers from Venezuela, thank you very much. Thank you to all of you for being here and being part of this third ELT Congress, Managing Emotions in Time of Remote Teaching. Eileen and Villazar, could you please continue with this event? Thank you very much. Thank you to our teachers from Arequipa too.
We thank Ms. Magali Ruas and Ximena Castro for their work. To continue with the program, just to let you know that to get your certificate, you must have attended all the sessions and completed the following form. If you haven't completed yet, please do it now. Thank you.
Thank you for the reminder, Aileen. Now, for the last presentation, we invite the coordinator of the English area, Mrs. Karen Mesa, and Mr. Fernando Guamani, an English specialist from Minedo. Welcome, Mrs. Karen Mesa and Mr. Fernando Guamani.
Hello. Hi. Hello again. Good morning, almost afternoon. Hello, Magali. Hello, everybody else.
Hello, Mrs. Mesa. It's a pleasure and an honor for us to have you at the end of this Congress. Mrs. Mesa and Mrs. Fernando Guamani, Mrs. Mesa is going to talk about how ready is the school community to keep going. So you can start, Ms. Mesa. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hi, again, I'm honored to be here and I'm going to share this presentation with my colleague, Fernando Guamani. He's just joined the English area at the Ministry of Education. So welcome, Fernando.
Hi, Karen. Hello, everyone. Yes. Hi, Karen. Hello, everyone. Thank you for this invitation. I'm really honored to be here this morning, and actually, I'm very deeply honored for this invitation given. And I do consider that this space is so important for every teacher who strives to do the best.
Certainly, certainly it is. So let's start. So the question is, I'm going to start presenting. One second, please. Yeah, hope you can see my, yes, there it is.
Yes, Ms. Mesa.
Great. So we're going to try to answer the question, how ready is the school community to keep going? Yesterday and today, we've been all talking about emotions. I've been reflecting a lot about this, and thank you very much, Pedagógico de Monterrico, for doing this. Because in the world right now, so many topics are being discussed. One of them being COP 20 or 24, that is happening in Glasgow. And they're talking about climate change and everything that the governments can do. I think there will be a time when we will have these international summits to talk about emotions. And that's why I really thank Pedagógico de Monterrico probably to be one of the pioneers in Peru to talk about how we're feeling. But how ready are we to keep going? It is good to remember that we have all been through all these feelings, no? Feelings of sadness, of anger, frustration, and many other feelings because of the context we've been through. And time for us may have seemed to be very slow because our motivation was being affected by how we felt. I'm going to ask Fernando, how you felt, Fernando, during this time as a teacher in remote teaching and learning.
Regarding your question, as a teacher, as a teacher, actually, I felt a lot of pressure. I encountered different difficulties in terms of planning, organizing my time, combining being at home and teaching at the same time. I sometimes I feel frustrated because I want to do something because we have a mentality before the pandemic, we have different, but now we are adjusted. I think there's not, I thought there's no time for me, but in the process, I learned a lot how to handle the time, how to handle, my lesson planning, how to be more organized. So I feel like more confidence in terms of technology, for instance.
Mm-hmm. So as you can hear, and Fernando has a very positive attitude towards everything he has been through. Although his feelings have been affected by frustration, he has found the light, he has seen the light because he feels he's learned a lot. And I'm sure that most of you feel the same way. And this very same event may not be happening had we not the teachers sharing their experiences. That's why we had Sandra Masuelos, Patricia Almendro, Julio Valladares, Patricia Medina, Kevin Laura, Sofía Gómez, Ofelia Milagro o Villegas, Mary Skoll, Violeta Tenorio, Robert Carvajal, and Roxana Perca. They are all teachers. They all have different roles in the education system. And I'm sure they may have felt different feelings during these times, but also see the light at the end of the tunnel. And that's why Fernando also says what he said. And I'm sure you do too. So our motivation is very important. Let's keep that going. And we should, again, remember that the students are in the center of the process of education. That's why we became teachers, because we wanted to help. And students were the most affected. They were the most vulnerable. We all recognize that during the pandemic and during this distance education, and that families had a huge role in how our students were feeling and how they were dealing with their emotions, and how they were also keep their students, keep their education going. And that's why I think we now understand better the impact of what the student lives at home. The pandemic, in a way, has been very rough on us, but we have also learned quite a lot. And this is one of the lessons, I think, that we feel we need to connect probably much more with students through their families so that we know what's happening at home and how that affects their learning. Being the students in the center of our call, of our purpose, we have had teachers who responded, and that is all of you. All of you responded to this challenge of keep our education going. And that has been stressful, definitely, but you did it. You were in the front line and you were doing all of these activities. Yesterday, I talked about some of them, and here I have summarized them. We had to learn to plan. We already knew it, but we did it in a different way. We had to create materials in a different way. We learn new skills, as Fernando said, track students and families, assess our students formatively to see how they were progressing in their learning. We were reporting to our directors, we were counseling students, and many other activities that teachers had to do in order to support the students. And we had these professional concerns because we didn't know whether all of these activities that are enlisted were having the impact we wanted. Were they well perceived or were they not working? So because this was such a challenging context, we were like testing, doing, redoing, planning, replanning, and learning in the process. But we had these concerns that made us feel, again, different emotions. There were also personal concerns, and I'm going to let Fernando talk about that. Just one little thing, Fernando, that I'd like to say first is that if we care, we learned another lesson is that if we care about education, we should care about health. And our mental health is really important, and we have to learn to deal with it. So Fernando, how, in your experience, before we move on, which of these activities did you find the most challenging during distant education?
Wow, which most? All right. Well, I think the most challenging has been planning our lessons, because it is the most difficult challenge, because we have to adapt. We have to adapt to the needs of our students and to keep in mind their different contexts. I mean, when we plan our lessons, we have to focus on the competency they have to get. We have to think about how our students feel and how they are progressing in their learning. So basically, we teachers have to prepare ourselves to be motivated and not transmit our stress to our students. On the other hand, students, should not receive any strength from our part, but the students should only receive our whole process as a world-class educator. So the students, in a very short time, they will value what we do. They will respect our professions. Our students are the presence of our country, whether they are on the coast or they are in the highland or they are in the jungle, but they are our purpose. They are the center. And it is for them that we study this career. So the most difficult challenge is, it has been to plan our lessons according to every student's needs.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Fernando. And which one do you think was the easiest for you, the one that you adapted very quickly to?
I think the easiest was learning new skills, because in this context, being at home, being with family, it was a great new opportunity to know that we have new skills at home. I'm talking about, all the family, because parents have the chance to talk to their kids more, teachers have the time to reflect also on their teaching style. It was a great opportunity for everyone, for every individual at home. So I think learning new skills was the easiest.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Fernando.
Indeed.
So I'm sure some of you will identify different activities, and probably many more, that you found very challenging or that you found very easy to adapt to. But we should bear in mind that a teacher is also a parent. Fernando, can you tell us a bit more about this?
Absolutely, indeed. Well, when it comes to helping our students, we have to balance everything, right? We have to balance from a perspective of a teacher. For example, one of them that would be advisable is to encourage parents in the benefits of activities like cooking together at home, maybe with their children, or playing some board games, or having some daily walks together, like cleaning the house at the same time, maybe reading favorite stories, eating together, maybe walking the dog to the closest park, having time, valuable time that will never come back. So I do think also that there is a great learning time. There is a great learning in all of these activities, and many families have more time to do. You know, what I believe also is that when we as teachers, we are actually the voice of encouragement, right? Because if your students listen to you, you're so down, you're blue like this, you know. So how can you encourage your students? So we are the voice of encouragement because this has benefits. For instance, most importantly, and during this context, right, has been for some people a moment where they encounter themselves. Some of them maybe they encounter, some students encounter themselves like helpless, but I think some of them encounter a new sense of spirituality, for instance, right? Then I do think that it has been amazing to see how teachers are every time more empowered. I'm very glad that teachers has been going, right? They were having going to a different support, especially for their students and how they are continuing their learning process. I do think that moving from one distance, from a face-to-face classes, moving to a distant learning for some, or online learning, this format has been new for many of us, right? So I think that technology has been a blessing during this difficult time, because this has been the opportunity to share information, learning with the students, how to work different apps. For instance, I do a lot of apps in my classroom, but I know that we have also the distance learning and online learning. So I think that everything we do, it's basically because we have our students in mind, right? Remember, they are learning a new language. They're not native speakers. They're students with different reality, with different necessity. They have different, needs, right? So as you look, when you are connected with your students, when you are connected with your students, it's either by phone, or by having some meeting online. But many questions arise. For instance, me as a teacher, what pieces of advice can give to the students or parents? It's obvious, right? It's obvious that there are parents that don't know what's going on in their, I think that it was obvious now that parents don't know how to handle the student because they are not teachers, So one thing is to encourage parents, right? That if they have any questions regarding the topic they are doing, parents can call, right? You can interact now more often with parents. In that way, we are reaching out all the necessity, because it's not only the students, but also parents, because they have a lot of parents, they have some questions. Plus, parents at home, they have to deal with, with their kids at home, if they are doing, their activities. It's a really, really difficult context. So what I mean is, most parents have no background. They have no background in teaching. So they need a lot of support. So number one, let's focus also on the parents. Additionally, we have to focus ourselves on how to manage being alone at home. How you can handle loneliness, right? Especially for some teachers that have kids at home, right? Because they have kids at home, but they are, let's say, single parents, So they're single parents. They have their kid at home and they have to work, at the same time. It's really hard. And I'm totally sure some of you are single parents, so you understand this concept. So for instance, let's say being a single parent can be a very lovely time because you are with your kids, but also it's a stressing time because you have to handle working, and being with the kids at the same time. So I think working to meet your child's needs is very important because we have to focus on them. because I mean, they have to eat on time, they have to wake up, they have to shower. I mean, our kids have to, be on time in the classes, prepare their material, and plus at the same time, you as a teacher, you have to, prepare your lessons, being in contact, making some phone calls, either if you have the plan in your school, like, because I know that there are different techniques how teachers are dealing with this new context, because some of them are using they're using technology 100%, some of them are using 50-50, and some of them are only distance learning, but still there is a constant phone calling, there's constant meeting with our students. So one solution for this question, right, can be talking on phone. Talking on phone, if you're a single parent, for instance, talking on phone and calling other single parent where you can support, hey, what happened to me? There's an issue here. Maybe in that way, promoting this way of phone calling can help a lot. Now, from the perspective of a child, right, the child needs a lot of attention. The child don't care if you're working or not. Your father is your father, your mother is your father, and that's it. So, but there's one thing that is going on nowadays, because for teachers that have children at this moment, they have to consume all the time, all the activity, all the energy toward the classes. And sometimes you have to work with the kids at the same time. So I think the only recommendation would be focus on your child or focus on your work, because doing two things at the same time, it will not be the same. And remember, kids are growing so fast, right? And sometimes they become so frustrated because the attention is only working with the students, and sometimes we forget our kids at home. So that's one thing. That's one perspective from being a teacher, father, teacher, a mother. So then, how we can keep motivated our kids in our lessons? How? I know kids are so tired nowadays. They have to present the evidence, and the evidence have to present the evidence, So let's think about also when we are preparing our lessons. We are professionals, of course, but please, let's think from the perspective of the students, how they feel. Let's think before preparing our lessons. We know we have to work on competencies. Some schools abroad may be working, only on objective, but when we are working on competencies, we have to think about what they're going to achieve during our first, second, third units. But most importantly, when it comes to planning, I do think that let's think as a child when we prepare. If this material I'm preparing for my student is at the level, it's of course, it has a standard of A1, B2s, but most importantly, they think as a child when we are preparing, because they are going to be sometimes alone and there's no teacher next to them. So that's it. I think one more important thing in this difficult context is to be very grateful what we are doing. Let's be grateful for everything we do. Let's be grateful for we wake up in the morning, we're just alive. We can do many things. Some of us are blessed because we have a job. Let's be grateful for everything. And I do think that that's the beginning of many good things to come. So to sum up, this context has been difficult for some of us, but most importantly, remember, you are the voice. You are the voice you are the voice of the message for the students, because the closest person they have is you. The closest person they have is you. So please, just to sum up, let's think about them. They are our priority now. Let's think about how we can build a contact with family, community, the kids. So thank you very much, Karen.
Thank you, Fernando. Thank you. I think you may have summarized what most teachers that are watching, that are present here, have experienced. So you have talked about everything about how the teacher was was dealing with students' emotions, and how parents are now going to be also important in that role of learning. And that will not change. For example, that's a very good lesson we have learned in this time. So when we go back to face-to-face, we should not lose that. And we should not lose the perspective that also teachers have been helping teachers. In virtuality, that's what has happened. In distance education, that's what has happened. So when we go back to face-to-face education, that should continue happening. Communities of practice, communities of learning, whatever you want to call them, are very important. In the Ministry of Education, we have started communities of practice for teachers of English. And we have leaders all over Peru that have been trained, that have been receiving assistance by Rilo Andes, so they can start communities of learning all over Peru. You may be hearing from them already on social media, but I'm sure you will hear more about them shortly. The regions are also involved there, so I advise you to look for those communities of practice that are in your region for teachers of English. Let's not forget that we have leaders also in the school, and though that's the role of the director. How a school goes sometimes has a lot, not sometimes, I think it's also connected to how leadership is developed in the school. And directors are playing an important role. Even their absence, if they are not, if they have not been able to cope with all the challenges we had, that may have also affected the school. And if they were successful, if they were trying, if they were also in the process of learning as we have all been, I'm sure the school has also felt and responded positively to the challenge. So let's not forget that a school community is inside a community as well. So we have a region, we have a country, we have a wider region, which is South America. So let's not forget that the school is inside a context, that whatever happens in a school, in the education system, has to do with the work of different sectors in the government. So the Minister of Health being now one of the most obvious, if they are the ones that are giving us guidelines on how to go back to school, for example, and the vaccines, no, and the vaccination process, how they were progressing is impacting on how or when we're going back to school, to face-to-face classes. Social inclusion, the Ministry of Social Inclusion, because we know that there are students whose parents have lost their jobs, or they've lost their parents, and they need to be assisted by the government. DUGEL, DRE, and Ministry of Education, they are doing the best they can in order to assist directors, to assist teachers to this come back to face-to-face classes. And I'm repeating this come back to face-to-face classes because that's the new challenge we will all face. The school community will be challenged to how we are going to safely go back to school. And our emotions, again, will be affected by that. I have to mention that the private sector has been really important also in helping teachers to be in the front line. And we hope that will continue happening. I remember that at the beginning, and you may all remember that in the first year, in 2020, when we had Aprende en Casa, for example, on television, all channels were broadcasting the Aprende en Casa programs because they understood that we wanted to reach and needed to reach all students. And there are other interventions that have helped in different regions, have helped the continuation of education. I'm going to present to you a video that in this case I have, this is uploaded in the Ministry of Education webpage. It's by Fundación Vice. We have worked with them, and I would like you to listen to it.
tiri iroa metantira. Atsonga tanta na kiarori, pikenke shiriaka yeri impoihi, pisanke natakayeri poamerepe, iranta yeteri aisati imonkara yeteri isaika heitanchari kametsa. Abame tantira arori, otimache aninta kayeri abamerepe maro ni abametiri. Iri pero tanchari yatiri te kametsa isaika heitira aparope. Maro ni atiripe abakerori kametsa abametakeriri ariyoi ni hantakero isaika heitira inampiki aisati anampiki arori. Irota kekya no koako heitimpi pamena koperotero pikoa yetiri pimonkara yetiri. Obametansi kariya inzonkero iñanare. Irointia ora iriyote inzinan payetero kari pero yetatsiri areti motakariri yañantari. No pason ki heitimpi pantayetiro poame yetiri akara heitiri.
So, who understood? This is to remind us that Peru is a mix of cultures. We're rich. We're rich in the diversity of cultures, languages, ways of doing things, and let's not forget that we have different contexts inside Peru, and we need to also reach them because everybody has had their emotions affected. So how to keep going? We need to reach those people as well, to reach everybody in Peru so that they understand how to deal with emotions and we can help each other. So how to keep going? Motivation is key. As we started this presentation, we mentioned that roller coaster or that emotional roller coaster we've been through has affected our perception of time, has affected our motivation. But we have to recover that. We have to remember that we have objectives, personal objectives, professional objectives, and in a way that's the definition of motivation, how we are boosted in order to reach objectives, to reach goals. So in order to keep going, we need to remember those objectives we have, personal and professional. And how do we do that? If we reconnect with your call, as Fernando was explaining everything he's been through and he feels that can work, you could tell that he's a devoted teacher. And I'm sure all of you are devoted teachers. You're on a Saturday, you are participating in this webinar. It means you are looking for something. You want to do things better because you have that specific call for education to help others. You feel you can help others. So when we feel down in the dumps, when we are faced with challenge, so let's reconnect with that call. Why is it that we became educators? And one way of doing that is by remembering specific students you have impact on. You have impact, it's probably because of a talk, probably because of you taught them something they told you as well. So it's important to remember the faces of those students you have impacted throughout your career. And then focus on one, just one, and write it down on a paper. Write down the story of that student, what he was like or she was like, and how you played a role in that. Be very specific. That is going to help you. Be very specific about that student. In that way, you are going to value your role in the impact you had on this person. We need to revalue sometimes. When we feel that our motivation is too low, these steps can help you recover from that. Recognize that as a teacher, you can impact many others. You have impacted on those students, you remember one in specific, and also you have the potential to impact on many others throughout your career in different ways. So let's keep going, because you as teachers, you are the cornerstone of this education system. You are in the front line. As the Minister of Education, we have created this space for teachers, the Escucho Docente, that is the website. And there you will find the video that you've just watched is in Ashaninka. And in that video, they were explaining what I just told you, how to recover motivation. And we will find videos like this in Aymara, Quechua, Shipibo. You will also find support on how to deal with grief, anxiety, and stress, what your family should do if something happens to you. Sometimes that paperwork is hard to understand, and we can offer help with that as well. There is a direct line, there is a phone line. You only have to fill in a small form with specific data that we need in order to contact you, and a psychologist can contact you so that you receive that support. And we also give advice on how to act in case of violence. So please visit this website if you feel this can help you deal with your emotions. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Karen Mesa and Mr. Fernando Guamani, for sharing with us your knowledge and reflections about managing emotions in times of remote teaching in the 3rd ELT Congress.
Now it is time for the closing ceremony, and we cordially invite Mrs. Karen Mesa to do it.
Mrs. Mesa, could you please activate your microphone?
I'm sorry. Thank you. Thank you, Magali. Thank you. On behalf of the Secondary Education Office, I'm going to declare that this 3rd ELT conference, Managing Emotions in Times of Remote Teaching, has finalized.
Thank you, Mrs. Mesa, for your words. We are getting to the end of this Congress, but before receiving Mrs. Janet Zapata, we have to thank all the speakers and consultants who have participated during these 2 days, but a special thanks to the community of English teachers who have been connected.
It was a pleasure to take part in this magnificent event and accompany you. We hope to see you soon.
Now, let's proceed to the head of the Further Studies Unit, Mrs. Janet Zapata.
Muchas gracias, Aileen y Villazar. Un buen día a todos y a todas. Es imposible terminar este evento sin antes felicitar a cada uno de ustedes, queridos maestros de inglés de todo el Perú, y también de los países hermanos que nos acompañan. Felicitarlos primero por haber participado en este 3er Congreso para Docentes de Inglés, cuyo tema este año ha sido Gestionando las emociones en tiempos de enseñanza remota. Y segundo, felicitarlos porque al asistir a un evento académico como este, no solo evidencian tener un interés por su formación y desarrollo profesional, sino también por una enseñanza de calidad que favorezca el logro de la competencia lingüística, en este caso del inglés, en sus estudiantes. Muchas felicidades a cada uno. Permítanme además agradecer de forma especial a nuestros aliados, colaboradores y amigos de la Escuela Monterrico, sin cuyo apoyo la realización de este evento hubiera sido imposible. Gracias, Minedu. Gracias, British Council. Gracias, Rilo Andes. Gracias, Nuevas Técnicas Educativas NUTESA. Gracias, Macmillan Education Perú. Gracias, Pearson Education. Gracias, Anglo Perú. Muchas gracias. Y a través de ustedes, gracias a sus excelentes ponentes que han participado tanto en las mesas de diálogo como en los talleres. Muchas gracias a cada uno. También agradezco de forma muy especial por su significativa ayuda con la difusión del evento a la comunidad de docentes de inglés, English Teachers in Perú, en la persona de su fundadora, la profesora Mariela Condorena. Muchas gracias. Pero permítanme también, por favor, agradecer a todo el equipo de Monterrico, sin cuyo compromiso esta actividad no hubiera sido un éxito. Muchas gracias, compañeros. Finalmente, permítanme compartirles, informarles con respecto a la entrega de las constancias de participación, que estas estarán siendo enviadas vía correo a partir del lunes 22 de noviembre. Esperamos que el evento haya sido de su satisfacción. Nos reencontraremos, Dios mediante, el próximo año, como ya es costumbre, en el mes de noviembre. Ahora, por favor, les pido a todos que prendan sus cámaras para tomarnos unas fotos y despedirnos. Muchas gracias, sigamos cuidándonos, nos vemos en noviembre